Hey everyone, welcome back to Melanie, your She Shed Scrapper. So today I am back with a one-page layout using the Indigo and Ivy collection from Pink Paisley. I could be wrong right now. I think it's Pink Paisley. Wow, sorry. So I had this idea, and I actually did this layout while at a scrapbook retreat, but I kind of prepped it ahead of time. It had been something I had been wanting to do and just hadn't got around to it. So I had cut out this Easter basket, excuse me, ahead of time before I came to the crop. And what I decided to do was actually use two photos of my son at an Easter egg hunt, and kind of cut them out to look like eggs. I really wanted to use a die and cut them, but I did not have one available to me at that point. The dies that you saw that I used to trace, it came out like I don't know, you can see to the very right, there's like those circles on a thin line. So that is not what I wanted. I wanted, the whole egg, whole oval, I guess. So what I did is I just traced it onto the photo and then cut it out. What I am doing here is with the Easter basket that was cut, there was like a grass piece in the middle that cut out as well, but I wanted that a separate color, and so I decided to grab one of the plain colored pieces of paper out of the project pad and cut that out myself to make it look like grass. And so you can see the final product here. I'm going to kind of try to line that up. It was a little bit more tricky than I thought it would be, to be quite honest. I did my best cutting it out, but it doesn't line up perfectly. Before I started this as well, I actually used my aunt's fringe die and cut some out to make it look like, I don't know, in Easter baskets, that like fake grass in the basket. I cut that out in hopes that it would kind of look like that. And so I needed it to kind of round with the basket. And so I cut it in like chunks, I guess, and made it kind of round like the basket. I did have to layer a little bit of it because, like I said, it did not cut 100%, I guess you could say. The piece that I kind of had fussy cut there, that piece of grass there. So I did have to kind of layer some of the fringe so that the other grass, the lighter colored grass there, would kind of fit, I guess. The idea in my head was really cool. I do like the way the layout turns out. I think it definitely could have been a little bit better, if I'm going to be completely honest. I thought it was a really neat idea that I had, and I don't know, just something different than, I guess, a normal scrapbook layout. So I end up kind of trimming the darker grass on that side, I guess, and trimming the basket as well. And then putting the handle of the basket finally down on the paper so that I can kind of work on the rest of the layout. So I am going to add the photos there. I would have loved to back the photos, but you could kind of tell I use kind of a large, well, the largest die on the one photo, and so it definitely, I didn't have anything, unless I wanted to do it all by hand, have anything to back the photo. In the collection, there is a paper of feathers. I decided that I was going to fussy cut some of those to include in the layout. I also have, the basket must have had some Easter eggs in it, and so I decided to use those as well to layer with my photos in the basket. And so the backside of the basket must have been the navy and white striped, and so I used those. And then I actually end up using some more of the collection, some scraps, and cutting some more eggs, just to have more variety in the basket. And I just, like I said, just kind of layered them together along with some of the feathers. Sorry. Not sure why I chose to use the feathers, but it was a great kind of space filler. If I'm going to be honest, it helped really kind of fill in the rest of the basket. So there's another little one that I added. I did not like the way that there was a space in between the two photos, and so I do actually end up using a couple of the feathers in between the two photos as well. Once I get those kind of all layered there, it kind of was a labor of love, honestly, because like I said, I had this amazing idea in my head and it didn't quite turn out the way that I had envisioned. But I did end up going into the ephemera pack and finding kind of a journaling piece that says this happened, and then I added a couple of the hearts that were part of the collection as well. There is a larger green heart there, and then I don't know if I forgot or I don't know. I remembered here that there was the sticker sheet in the project pad, and so I did add some of a sticker of greenery in the basket as well. I don't know, kind of a hodgepodge of stuff. Another little sticker there that says laughter, and then I do kind of layer some hearts in those two clusters. These kind of layouts sometimes are more difficult for me to embellish because I feel like the main idea, the main focus of the layout is kind of busy, and I did kind of struggle a little bit on how to embellish the layout. I do actually love the way that the extra embellishments, I guess, turned out. I don't feel like it was too much. So, not sure what I'm doing here. I do end up cutting some flags for the top. I am going to make an embellishment in the top right, and that is the extra little embellishing piece cluster that I was referring to. I just like the simplicity of it. I did not overdo it because, like I said, the actual main focus of this layout is so busy that the rest of it I wanted more on the simple side. So I have those two. I'm using up the scraps you can see from the eggs and from the grass that was initially cut when I cut it on the Cricut. This is actually just a cut file or an image that I found on the Cricut design space here. And so here I'm just layering the 3 flags at the top, and then I am going to jump back down to the basket, add another feather, and then kind of fill in that gap I was talking about earlier in the middle of the photos. Kind of fill that in with a couple different feathers there. And I think that's almost the end of the embellishing of the actual basket there. I had that big green heart there, and that's, I think, going to finish off the embellishing of the actual basket. I do end up adding embellishments to the flags at the top. There was a tab that said favorite. I kind of trimmed the sides of it and add that to the top there, and then layer a couple of hearts over that too, because I do like to have like embellishing pieces in each embellishment cluster when I can. And so you can kind of see in the embellishing clusters I do have hearts in each of the clusters. I thought I was done here, but I decide to do more. I decided I'm going to trim it a little bit and add a border. I accidentally cut my heart off. I wish I would not have. I would have loved that to overlap the border on the layout, but it is what it is. And so I am actually going to layer this, border it, I mean, with white first, and then almost, I guess, border the white again with kind of I used two different colored papers for the last background. So I don't have enough of this light green paper and I really wanted to use it. So I end up using that for the top and then finding a scrap piece of paper for the bottom that is the same color as the basket. So here's where I am bordering it with white. I felt like it kind of blended in too much with that green there, and so I wanted that white barrier. But then I also kind of wanted a barrier between the green and what ends up being that next piece, and so I ended up getting the border strip and adding that there. That is like the feathers. You can't see very much of it, but that is the paper that I do end up using. So here's where I'm trying to decide which side to use, and I do end up going with that brown paper to finish off the border on the bottom, and it just happened to be the right size, which was amazing. What I'm doing here is I needed to make sure that the final layout was 12 by 12, and so I used that 12 by 12 sheet as a guide so that I could make sure that it was 12 by 12 when it was finished and fit properly in my album. I end up, because it was a little bit I don't know, I had to kind of place it on there. I do end up actually using my T-square to finalize the size of the layout. But here are some of the close-ups. I hope you guys enjoyed this different kind of design for a layout, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.